To all my dear sports lovers, players, state levels, national, international level players, their coaches, sports scientists, and sports administrators, I just feel interested to share a burning problem in the sports as I feel I want to share here with some talks on the same. And this burning problem is particularly the whereabouts about the stress and stress management. So, for my introduction, I am Dr. Subrata Malik. I am the retired sports medicine expert and consultant in Sports Authority of India, given my service for the last 29 years and retired just this previous year, 21 November 2021. So I think stress is a very important part which plays its role in all sports discipline players, even to the coaches and sports scientists, and also for the administrators also. But the players are the main performers. They had to be kept away from this negative aspect of life, which is very harmful, as I do feel. So nowadays, for a better sports, better fitness, mentally, bodily, whatever, the stress management has become an important issue. But before stress management, we have to come across what is stress. Basically, it had to be identified properly. To tell you frankly what I feel like that, it's my feelings and my personal way. Stress, I divide personally in two aspects, that is intrinsic stress effects and extrinsic stress effects. So what is intrinsic stress effects? Intrinsic means the stress particularly which are built up inside our body and in our mind. And extrinsic stress factors are the factors which a particular sports person gets involved, or any other person in our society get involved, as fighting with the outside environment, our environment. This part includes the environmental aspect, certain issues which affects us by giving stress. So this is the extrinsic stress factor. So I will come step by step. So what regarding the intrinsic stress factor, I just separate it in three particular divisions. One is the physical stress we experience in our body. Second is physiological stress, which uh, gives some effect in our body or some functional disturbances. And third part is the overtraining, overload training stress. So physical stress, the number one which I have just told you, the physical stress, we get it when there is a certain bone pain or muscle pain which occurs to a sports person, as that particular problem occurs when a sports person is not in his or her right health or in or her good health conditions. So the training that is being given, that becomes an overload, which can give this sort of physical stress effects like bone pain, muscle pain. This type of pain occurs. Second is the physiological stress factors. Suppose there is a particular, this biological load of stress put up as certain activities which the particular sports person cannot take accepted as the part of their training, and they suffer from early tiredness, fatigue, and on biochemical investigations there are found certain biochemical quality level, some abnormalities, like there may be a sharp shoot up of uric acid, creatine, phosphokinase enzymes, and some other biochemical that had to be found out after examination of blood. And there may be less hemoglobin, that is the oxyhemoglobin, which carries the oxygen through the blood, and that particular oxyhemoglobin and just give the supply to all the body tissues, cells and all, to for their better functions. Next is the metabolic disorder that also happens physiologically. That is, there is sometimes creation of indigestion, and the sports person feels weak, and if not properly detected, these physiological stress factors, which has happened, the physiological stress effects, I will say, what happens, then that particular sports person, the care cannot be taken properly, and even when the care is taken, when it is detected also, sometimes those players, they suffer from incomplete recovery and recovery and from that particular phase, and that had to be sorted out by a re-examination of the biochemical biochemical ingredients, uh, which I have already told about, the uric acid and creatine and other things are there, the blood oxygen level, the arterial oxygen level and everything that had to be found out how much that a particular sports person is suffering from. Other than that, there may be certain physiological functions which are not detected properly for a sports trainee before getting admitted for sports training in any institute, academy, or anywhere, any organization, any Indian or playing organization. Just like there may be some congenital, that is by birth, organic defect or functional abnormalities which are non-detected or undetected as for related to heart, lungs functional aspects. These are very important to be known, because this sort of sports persons under the physiological stress, and if this particular thing, the congenital problems are not detected well before his or her starting of the training phase, anything drastic and a critical condition can occur, and even some particular results already reported in the sports field. As for example, a player from the East Bengal Football Club just some days back only, I think I've just heard it like that, it came in the news like that, or that particular boy, maybe some academic player or trainee or something, he died in the field during training phase, and it should not happen like this. If he is well detected about his problems beforehand, whether he was purely fit when going for his games, or I don't know exactly, this is only a controversial thing I'm talking about, or whether he was properly detected of the of his heart conditions or lung conditions and other organic factors very specifically, and the biochemical investigations and other pathological investigations and all by the medical expert and the doctor, and if not, then it may be possible, I don't know exactly, but it may be possible that finally he got expired for. So these are very important things. And another thing is that a particular sports person, he or she had to tell his or her coach about any particular body problem or about their mind problem, something stressful mind or like that, or a body, to their coaches before going for any hard training. Because if the body and mind is not sound or healthy at that time during the training phase, and the training and a mild training also can become a overload training. Mild training can become an overload training. So that is very, very important to detect out if there is any health fitness abnormality in concern with mind and body of that particular player before going for training. This stress will cause, if not if ignored, will make that talented player also, a skilled player also, to get him or her burnout early, and that will be a not a welcoming factor, what I feel. These are all intrinsic or in vivo, that is bodily, a particular player gets stressed about, and this is intrinsic stress effects. And the extrinsic stress effects are happened with certain stress factors, that is psychological, number one, and number two, genetic, and number three, injuries, certain injuries he or she had gone through. Whether this, for the psychological stress, he or she may be psychologically stressed by certain aspects, extrinsic aspects, like family problems, socio-economical conditions, and some kind of loneliness, and also sometimes it happens the particular player, he or she is worried about his or her personal job career, for the future job career prospects and all, which is not being assured or by the organization or the institute or the academy where he or she is training. So he or she cannot concentrate on his or her particular sports training or going for any match or like that. He cannot go on totally through. So that condition is also a stress factor. And genetically also, which I know, I have come to know that certain genetical factors also, like the certain genetical traits are there, some gene codes are there, which are already being researched out in some international and in some abroad countries and all, who are doing sports research on the genetical research regarding the sports person's characteristic. Whether the sports person is having a aggressive, competitive attitude, or these are very important. And regarding the intellect part also, their researches are going on. I don't know the latest part of those researches, but their genetic codes are being searched, trying to be searched out to find out the intellect and the mental load bearing capability of particular sports boys and girls at their younger age. So in that way also, there is a part of talent selection some in abroad country used to make, like I've heard like that They used to make like that for getting the particular player channelized for the particular discipline where he suits for, either in boxing, wrestling, hockey, football, in other, etc. Blah blah blah. These are the way. So that is very important. And in psychologically also, one person can if the overload load training stress factor is ignored, psychological depression also comes. And in that way, if it is not well detected and this fact is ignored and daily training is going on, and this load not well accepted by the particular individual, then that particular individual suffers from high level resting pulse rate, suffers from dehydration, and sometimes diarrhea also occurs, constipation also occurs. It happens in different way due to the cell metabolic abnormalities faced. There may be weight loss, academic education and exam failures are also there for this particular stress of his young sports boy or a girl who is going to the schools and all, school going. And it is being found that there is a less intellect agility, there is less intellect agility during that particular time, and they sometimes suffer from certain calculations, even in the subject of mathematics and all, they become a great failure. So the genetic traits are important. Other than that, injuries extrinsic means their injuries are also, there are two ways, just like the stress intrinsic and extrinsic, the injuries are also there, intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic injury is those injuries, suppose somebody is going through certain bad habits or addictions or any sort of medicines taken or certain dope medicine, drugs taken or whatever may be, he or she can harm his or her internal organs like liver, pancreas. Even this may result in problems towards having stress on heart, lungs and other functions of the body. Those particular further dope drugs or something like that, which are not good for the health part and fitness part. And other than that, his or her food habits, nutrition is also very important. This can harm the internal organs and cause certain damage or injury to his or her own particular organs in his or her body. So this is very important, and sometimes these injuries or these harmful effects which is going on inside the body goes non-diagnosed and ignored. But when the threshold level comes, when there is a particular pain in the abdomen or pain, chest pain or any other pain, then we go for, then they complain to the doctors, post doctors, and they tell about their problems, and then only the doctor comes to help them with detecting those internal organ disease, abnormal physiological functional organs by getting them tested by some investigations, biochemical investigations and all, and also clinical examination is also there. Then the doctor comes to know. But already the harm is there, and this particular stress which is going on inside the body of that particular player for a long time, if it is not properly cared for and kept under ignorance, then that particular player will always have a stress problem, because mind and body are connected to each other. If the body is not okay, if your physiological functional organs are not okay behaving inside your body, so this will cause stress even in the mind, and the mind is not at that time ready to uptake any sort of intellectual training, intellectual works, activities, and also the coach's guidance also cannot be taken well accepted at that time. So that is also causing a particular stress which had to be avoided. These are the causative effects of stress. I'm just giving a sectional division of how a sports person suffers from physical, physiological, overtraining, psychological, and injury related stresses. This is the total stress as per the sports medicine subject deals with, and obviously management is very important for this particular stress. So regarding the stress management, if I go through, there are different sorts of management. On a broad aspect, I can say, not going to the annals of or in depth of any particular way of management, because the stress management had to be looked after by a sports medicine doctor, who will be just like treating a sports person as like a general practitioner treating the sports people, because sports people, they are different individuals rather than the other desk working people, particularly, that is other than the general public, because sports persons, they are always different in their heart condition, lung condition, physical muscles, bones, strength, and also internal organ functioning conditions. All these things absolutely is different from the general non-exercise doing individuals in our society, because these sports persons are always on exercise, and their fitness, it cannot be compared with the general sedentary workers or the desk workers or the general people who are working in the some particular offices, or certain boys or girls just school going boys and girls who are not attending much the playing arena. They are more engulfed in the studies and all in that way, so they are not up to that good level of health, and so they are different. So as per the sports medicine experts, they are responsible for catering the health and fitness part of the sports persons, who are a different group of people or the population in our society, in our country at large. So stress management first step is that we have to reduce or completely deduce or eradicate the causative aspects producing stress. So I told you about, discussed about the causative aspects, the causative uh, aspects which are producing stress for us. It may be physiological, it may be physical, it may be psychological, it may be any other particular way. So this is very important. Second is that we have to go for the sports person a regular biochemical and medical fitness, biochemical investigations and medical fitness clinical checkups periodically for every 2 months throughout the year. This is personally I feel, and I think that is right also. And third part is that number 3 point is to find out any congenital, that is by birth, undiagnosed anatomical or functional abnormality of any body organ, that is body organ that is physiologically functioning, and that had to be found out. And the fourth point is we have to find out the nutritional aspects as per proper dietary management and nutritional management as per the calorie expenditure and the sports discipline the athlete belongs on a daily basis. Fifth point is that to remove the psychological stress, that is very, very important. And sports psychologists are already there for that particular way to find out. Then the psychological stress may erupt from certain family causes. It may erupt from certain confusion in the sports persons and depressions regarding not getting the proper assurance of their future career, that is the job career, or how to go with their families and all, because they are already out of their family and they are suffering from a loneliness, a solitariness for a long time. They go on. I have seen in my 29 years of my service in Sports Authority of India. Next is the anxiety and tension prone individuals are also there, who are not properly fit for any sports activity. Why? Because particularly the tensions and anxieties of a sports person, when it goes over and crosses a particular threshold level of capability to bear with, it happens that during their functional sports, during their game phase or a match phase, the sports person or the trainee cannot show up to their maximum extent of abilities or capability due to this back tensions and anxieties he is carrying with, and cannot concentrate on the games, and he or she loses very easily to the opponents. And I have seen in my sports particular service time, sports medicine service time, that certain individuals and even in groups also, players as a whole, they lost their match or they cannot win the particular game they belong to, particularly due to having uh, nervousness or anxiety when they are executing their performance. They are suffering from those part. So they cannot come out in totality, in fullness, with their whole capabilities. And in that way also, they are failures. Even I've seen, particularly for sports person, is certain individual games also, like boxing, wrestling, weightlifting, and other things also, other places also. In India, in our country, they sometimes could not cope up during the match phase with their particular capability standards at that time. Whereas they do better during their practice session, training practice session, when they are not facing any particular game or match phase in that way. Even I have seen some players, I have gone with the players in outside also. I have gone for Asiad, I have gone for SAF Games, I have gone for Youth Olympics. I have accompanied the team as the Indian contingent doctor. And I have gone through these players. These players, when they are going for the game, they are not in their right mental alertness, agility, or strength level when they are going for the match, and they easily gave up to their opponents. And in that way, they got lost from certain medals aspects. And I think sports psychologists should accompany individual players also, and also team groups. And every particular team, maybe a basketball, maybe a volleyball, maybe a football, hockey, every team games regarding, there should be a team psychologist, sports psychologist, who is not there. And nowadays it has happened that the sports physiotherapists, the physiotherapists only, who are always going to care for particular players who are injured, and they are going to take a regular service for the players regarding their therapeutic aspect, like doing some physiotherapy treatment with their machines and other physiotherapy machines and like that and all, for a daily, for a course period or like that. They are accompanying a sports particular team. Maybe it's a national team, or maybe the team is going for a international event, or some players are going, the physiotherapists are attached. But where are the doctors? Where are the sports doctors? The team players, when they go from one climatic region, like in India, they are going to outside, abroad, in another climatic and different geographical area abroad. Everything changes. The temperature, the type of food they are getting in that abroad places, everything gets different. So in that case, they may suffer from certain cases of diarrhea, maybe some constipation, or they cannot take the proper food, which they had to be guided for which food to take and not to take for particular sports players. And even they may catch cold type infections. Their immune system may work in a different way because they are not habituated in that sort of exposure, in that environment, in the abroad. So where is the doctor? They are being going, the team is going, the officials are going, everybody is going. Okay, no problem. As per requirement, everybody should go. Let the physiotherapist go, let the sports psychologist go, let the sports doctor go. So, but it's, I felt in my 29 years of my service, though I have gone also abroad with certain teams or like that, but I was not assisted with any physiotherapist. This has also happened. And I was alone only, even not my medical assistant, no nurse, nobody is there. But still, what to do? We have to cope up, we have to adjust as our way we are directed to. So, in that way, I have gone through. But my particular this thing is not a complaint, it's a suggestion that whenever a team is going, it should be accompanied with a sports psychologist, a nutritionist, a masseur, and also sports medicine doctors, sports doctors, whatever may be, not only orthopedic doctors. I haven't got any particular difference with the orthopedic doctors. They are very good in their particular disciplines, but they are orthopedic surgeons or specialists. They know particularly when there is a fracture or there is a surgical intervention is required for a muscle tear or a ligament tear or any type of this thing. They are required to attend that particular place where the sports medicine doctor has got nothing to do with that surgical aspect. Okay, but the thing is that they had to know very well about the medicinal aspects, like how to cure the disease part, how to look after the nutritional part, how to look after the, because their specialization is not in that particular general practitioner's level. A general practitioner, particularly for sports medicine as doctors who are practicing in general way, in all the aspects, right from the psychology, right from the head part to the toes, regarding including the disease, any preliminary muscle pain, muscle pull, muscle strain, everything together, but any bone pain, that is also a sports medicine doctor can do and can make give a good prescription of that case also. And maybe that particular person is having a muscle pain or like that's a sports person, along with that there is a severe cold infection or some dietary problems are there. How a orthopedics doctor could take the hold of all this together, all the angles of health, I don't know exactly. If somebody can take, that is different, but I'm not having any difference. But as per the specialization part, a sports medicine doctor had to be given a proper status, a platform to function. I think this will bring goodness for the sports. That is very important. Next is that the request immediately some education, academic education for the sports young boys and girls, so that they get very much polished with their academic qualities, and at least they should be taught some scientific subjects and English, these two things. English for international as a common international language, and maximally it is spoke abroad, and in India also we speak. The thing is that they can communicate with other players and other countries and other coaches and all. And secondly, the English is very important. And other than that, the other education like scientific education, at least they should come to know certain conditions like the particular mathematics and physics, a certain basic way, basic concepts, because sports is totally depend on physical movement, and physical movement is the movement which takes the support of physics. Without physics, a physical movement cannot be done. and physical movement is not. So this is very important. And another thing which I want to say, which is very important for sports persons to get relaxed or from their contraction, involuntary muscular contraction and all, body stiffness and other things. There are two particular pathways, that is autonomic nervous system, that is the system. This autonomic nervous system has got two particular set of nerves, the parasympathetic nerves and the sympathetic nerves. The sympathetic nerves are awakened when you are doing a physical action in your making your full movements and everything together during a play or anything. But after the play, the cool down is a very important, that is relaxation of the muscles, because involuntarily you are not voluntarily contracting at that time after the play, but the muscles stay on in an involuntary contractions and all other things. But I have found myself, as an experience I am telling you, sometimes the parasympathetic nerves and the sympathetic nerves, these are very much inside our body. You cannot touch these nerves. We can find out certain aspects like the skeletal nerves, that is a different sort of nerves which happens to serve the muscles and other joints, bones and other things for the movements and all. But the sympathetic and parasympathetic is a different way. When we are awake, when we are in an awakened stage, the sympathetic nervous system is stimulated. But when we are going for the sleep, even in the night phase, the parasympathetic dominance is more, because our body comes to total rest with the help of the parasympathetic nerves dominancy. Sympathetic is only dominant when we were awake. Parasympathetic dominant when we sleep in the night or like that. But we want the sports person to have a good sleep with the relaxed muscles and all. So we have to raise our parasympathetic nervous system, or to get the parasympathetic nerve dominance. But how? It is inside. How can I? But if a ice cold wet towel is placed behind the neck, just touching your back of the ear lobule, the towel should be there from the neck, totally encroaching the whole neck from behind the lobules, and giving that ice compress like that. There is a particular vagus nerve which comes at least in one place a little bit superior, superficial, here just below, behind our jaw bones, just below the lobule of the ear, both sides. So this parasympathetic nerve, I can give a stimulation and cause a relaxation of the total muscles of our body by the parasympathetic stimulation. So this is a magic one should come to know. This is a very important thing, and I have found in plenty of times, particularly when I have given that particular when the footballers are very much excited after the game, during the cool down aspects, I used to give that particular, and they get freshened up very early, and their recovery phase gets earlier. So this is one very important thing. So this is very important. And cool down stretching exercise for the relaxation of the muscles, and also yoga, the meditation part is very, very important, I feel, for stress relaxation. Other than that, a sports person should have one particular diary of their own, personal diary. The whole day they have done their training and everything. They have met with several people. The coach has suggested and given some training directions or what. They should write all those things on a daily basis on that particular diary, and that relaxes the mind. And diary writing daily is a good way to relax one's mind. And before going for a sleep, every sports person should go himself or herself integrated in a certain condition when he can feel himself or herself only, and the environment outside, the other environment outside, what is going on, it will be total enveloped in darkness, or there should not be any particular sensitization of the external part, the environment part. He should come to the micro phase from the macro phase. That is, I say, because the whole day he has gone through the macro environment, and sometimes the macro environment, the particular problems and whatever happens, whatever people he is mixing with, everything, we called it like a Maya, the Maya aspect, Maya. But who is having the experiencing the Maya? That is ourselves. We experience the Maya. That's why Maya is identified in that way. There is a Maya. Obviously, it is always there. You have to, in your life, adjust with Maya, that outside environment, the macro environment. But you have to return back to your micro. That is, as I am here, my environment is here. If I am not here, if I am a dead body, if I am having a dead mind, nothing is there. Where is the macro environment? Where is the Maya? Maya is not there. So one sports person have to individually feel like that I am alone, like I am living with my lone strength, my lone mind, my lone functional capabilities, my lone way of my particular living, which I am fighting for my survival. So my survival is more important than my macro, because if I survive, then only I'll be experiencing my environment. If I'm not there, what's the utility of my environment? So that is a very important thing, and one had to meditate that particular thing during the night before going to bed. This is a very good thing if our sports person can go through. And this part also, they will meditate while getting up in the early morning, and after doing their morning training practice and all, they will take their breakfast, they will take their bath, they will take their breakfast, everything together. After that, they will again go for this sort of meditation, where they get integrated in themselves, and that integration will give them a internal strength, and avoid them from feeling others outside cookie stresses. Cookie, I think you know that the computer cookies, which are bad things, which are bad elements, which had to be taken away from the computer, then the computer gets its PD functional activity. So it's like that. So the cookies had to be taken away at that time and integrated. So I think this is a very important thing, and that is to macro to micro level one should reach during his day. So for this part, I may come if you give your likings for I don't know whether I have I made to make you all understand what I have said or like that. Whether anything I could not make you understand, I feel sorry for that. I have tried my level best, but if you want to contact me, you can contact me. My mobile number is, you can just take it and you can call me also. I'm a retired sports doctor from Sports Authority of India, but so uh, I'm having enough free time also. My contact email ID number, please note, uh, all in small letters, dr dot s dot Malik, MALLICK @gmail.com. Thank you one and all for patiently hearing my speech, and thank you once again, dear all.